Fast, focused, and fearless. Here's everything you need to know as you jumpstart your day. I'm Diego Castro. Kicking off today's broadcast with updates from the World Economic Forum in Davos, where the Philippine delegation is looking forward to discussing the Maharlika Sovereign Wealth Fund. Gerard de la Peña with the story.
On the first day of the World Economic Forum, President Bongbong Marcos was the first one to share his thoughts about the main theme of this year's forum, which is prospering in an era of geopolitical tensions. In his speech during the welcome luncheon, President Marcos said nations should never be made to choose between two warring factions like what happened during the Cold War between the US and Russia.
I think we are determined as a group in ASEAN and in the Indo-Pacific, despite all of this conflict, we are determined to stay away from that. And simply because we are anchored in the idea that the future of the Indo-Pacific, the future of Asia-Pacific, for example, cannot be determined by anyone but the countries of the Asia-Pacific. And that removes us immediately from that idea that you must choose. We choose our friends. We choose our neighbors.
Kevin Tan of Alliance Global expressed the same sentiment.
That the Philippines is really a friend to all, no? And that we're not necessarily leaning more towards the West or the East, and that we're very, very balanced in where we are positioned. And I think that's the right strategy.
The president also said that the recent events, such as the COVID pandemic and the aftermath of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, brought out the tendency of nations to protect their own interests. But he said he believes that globalization will still prevail in the end. To recall, on his way to Davos, the president made the remark that he is willing to throw his support behind Ukraine, but he clarified that the Philippines is only supportive of any effort towards peace. Joining the president in Davos are 7 of the top business leaders in the country, namely Sabine Aboitiz of the Aboitiz Group, Kevin Tan of Alliance Global, Jaime Zobel de Ayala of the Ayala Group, Lance Gokongwei of JG Summit Holdings, Ramon Ang of San Miguel Corporation, Tessie C. Coson of the SM Group, and Enrique Razon of the International Container Terminal. Also joining the president are House Speaker Martin Romualdez, former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, Senator Mark Villar, Congressman Sandro Marcos, and other cabinet officials and lawmakers. During the same welcome luncheon on Monday, Finance Secretary Jokno also hinted that the president is likely to announce the country's GDP growing by around 6.5% last year, which hits the lower end of its target band of 6.5 to 7.5%, mainly due to the global economic slowdown. But Jokno said this is already one of the highest, if not the highest growth rate in the Asia-Pacific region, as the Philippine economy is supported mainly by the manufacturing sector, record low unemployment, and resilient banking system. He also said that the government has created an enabling environment for public-private partnerships to support its infrastructure push. The government is also looking forward to discussing the proposed Maharlika Sovereign Wealth Fund to the international audience during the next few sessions at the WEF. The president previously said he is also looking forward to informal talks on the forum sidelines. The WEF is scheduled to host a country strategy dialogue for the Philippines, where our delegation will be given the opportunity to promote the Philippines as a leader and driver of growth and a gateway to the Asia-Pacific region. There will also be a bilateral meeting with the International Monetary Fund, as well as a meeting with the logistics firm. For News 5, Gerard de la Peña, We Are One News.
Meanwhile, some senators slammed the Customs Bureau for humiliating 10 flight attendants who tried to sneak in about 40 kilos of onions and fruits from the Middle East, while big-time smugglers and cartels remain unpunished. Senator J.V. Ejercito argued that the agri-products seized from the Philippine Airlines crew members were only for personal consumption, as onion prices in the country soar up to 700 pesos per kilo. But in an interview with A Big Story, BOC spokesman Arnaldo De La Torre Jr. explained they are simply doing their job.
We understand where are they coming from, but the law has specifically stated that since this is a regulated agri-product, it is an act of importing. There are requirements that they have to comply. The law provides that we are allowed to bring in vegetables and other agri-products, at least 5 kilos. But you have to have a prior clearance
Okay.
or certificate of phytosanitary certificate upon arrival here in the Philippines.
So-
If you can provide any of those, the Bureau of Customs will recommend to confiscate it, and the Bureau of Quarantine will receive as we turn it over to them.
We will be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You are still watching One News Now. I'm Diego Castro. Global nonprofit organization Oxfam says imposing a 1 to 3% wealth tax on the richest Filipinos can yield the country an additional $3.8 billion or over 207 billion pesos in revenues. Speaking to the big story, Oxfam Asia's regional advocacy and campaigns lead Mustafa Talpur notes that the high concentration of wealth in the Philippines is creating a fundamental problem in the national economic system. Oxfam also noted in a report that millionaires in the country have gone up by more than 40% since 2012, which is why they said it's time to tax the rich. A recent report by the World Bank stated that after 3 decades, the Philippines still has one of the widest wealth gaps in Asia. It revealed that the Philippines' top 1% earners capture 17% of the country's national income, while the bottom 50% share 14%. With this, Talpur says tax cuts on the rich as part of trickle-down economics is obviously not working.
So they have sold a narrative that the trickle-down economics works. So the
Okay.
cutting down the taxes will work for everybody, but we have seen in last 30, 40 years that economic system is not working.
Baguio City Mayor Benji Magalong has hinted possible legal action against former NTF-ELCAC spokesperson Lorraine Badoy and spiritual leader Apollo Quiboloy. In a statement, Magalong expressed his dismay as he got accused of being part of an underground communist insurgency group. Magalong said claims made against him in several programs under Quiboloy's SMNI channel are baseless. The Baguio City Mayor also issued a challenge to anyone questioning his integrity. He says to his detractors, by all means, take the necessary steps that I be sanctioned. Without naming names, Magalong also insisted that no one is above the law, especially for people fond of defaming others without basis. This was not the first time that Magalong and Badoy had an issue. In March of last year, Magalong was also red tagged by Badoy after he ordered posters in Baguio City removed, accusing youth activists of being members of the CPP-NPA without any proof. Badoy has since faced several complaints over red tagging. Here are other headlines we are keeping our eyes on. Light vehicles are now able to use the Marikina Bridge again after it was closed off for repairs. The westbound lane of the Marikina Bridge reopened this morning after days of inspection and repair works due to a 30-meter crack. And just less than 24 hours after winning the PBA Commissioner's Cup, Justin Brownlee has officially sworn allegiance to the Philippines. The oath-taking was officiated by Senate Justice and Human Rights Committee Chairman Francis Tolentino. And that's it for this hour. Join us again at 7:45 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play. Register an account now at signalplay.com.ph so you can stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Diego Castro. We are One News. All sides, all the time.